Examples of mysterious activity near street lights. And no, they're not flashing. Yes, you're going to see examples of flashing lights, a couple of new examples I've received, but what you're about to see here is truly bizarre. First video sent in by June out of Louisiana. It has narration.
I mean, how did it get on fire?
Maybe because it was using it too much.
It's on fire.
and it's going
weird. It's weird. It's weird.
It is weird indeed. There's a street light right there. The wiring above the street light in broad daylight. It's not storming. There's not a cloud anywhere in the sky. The wiring's on fire. Unbelievable video footage sent in by June out of Louisiana.
So that video we just saw from Mr. MB3 where the power line was on fire, that was just from a couple of days ago. Now we're going to go over some other instances of similar things happening. This one is from over a year ago.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hope everybody's doing well and having a great day. I have some exclusive video footage I want to share with you guys out of Cobb County, Georgia. In fact, to be specific, Marietta, Georgia. Apparently, a few hours ago, there was some sort of a fire that, at the time being, is under investigation. They don't know what caused this fire, but the fire erupted not far from Craig's location last night, just after midnight. I'm going to share exclusive video footage of what he saw from Marietta, Georgia, that caused over 6,000 power outages last night. Again, just after midnight. Here's the video footage sent in by Craig as he's looking out his window in astonishment. He actually takes off the screen to his bedroom window, looking at the sky glowing green and blue and orange and at times red. That's a substation over there that's on fire. And at times, notice there in the video how it looks like a giant ball of plasma or something over there. Again, obviously changing colors, turned night to day temporarily. This caused over 6,000 power outages locally. You can see smoke going up into the air. It's a little difficult to see the smoke because obviously it's nighttime. However, this energy over here has basically turned night into daytime, turning the sky various colors of blue, orange, red, sometimes green. Quite a spectacle Craig woke up to last night just after midnight. Again, he opened his bedroom window, took the screen off. Look at that large ball of energy over there. That is wild. This is exclusive up-close video footage of a substation on fire, and you don't see any type of high winds. You don't see any lightning. You don't see any signs of thunderstorms in the area. Right now, the cause of this is a mystery. They just simply don't know. Something happened to cause this. Craig was less than a mile from the epicenter of this incident last night. Again, this is exclusive video footage you're probably only going to see here of a rare incident, a substation going up in flames in Georgia. That is, as of right now, a mystery. They don't know how this fire started. It's still under investigation. This is just a few hours old. This article was published at 7:06 a.m. on January 25th, and I just received that exclusive video footage from Craig out of Marietta, Georgia. Myself, I just got this about an hour ago. He recorded that last night just after midnight. Coming over here to the homepage of
Now I will on
Iowa. Probably see situations like that. This video was sent in by Chris out of Kenner, Louisiana. Probably see situations like this where saw one last night. Last night in Georgia. Power got loose. You don't see it like this every day. Look at that. Dancing around those power lines. That is wild. Unreal. 14,000 volts on the loose. And I think 2024 could be an interesting year, guys. In fact, probably see situations like that. This video was sent in by Chris out of Kenner, Louisiana. Probably see situations like this where saw one last night. Last night in Georgia. Power got loose. You don't see it like this every day. Look at that. Dancing around those power lines. That is wild. Unreal. 14,000 volts on the loose. So to see some situations like that, this video was sent in by Chris out of Kenner, Louisiana. Probably see situations like this where saw one last night, last night in Georgia. Power got loose. You don't see it like this every day. Look at that, dancing around those power lines. That is wild. Unreal. 14,000 volts on the loose.
This one we're about to look at was from 3 months ago, just over 3 months ago.
Speaking of mysterious, here we go. More grid electrical malfunctions. Are you serious right now? This just stepped up to a whole new level. Check out this video that was sent in by Barbara. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Are you serious right now? There it is in slow motion. We're going to come back to that. This is what I was talking about at the beginning of the video. Malfunctions with the grid. There was a person right there filming this with their camera, and all of a sudden the sparks started flying. Right there, they bolted. What was causing that? I mean, we've been seeing mysterious flashing lights all around the globe. Now this? There wasn't a storm. You didn't see any lightning. Video was sent in by Barbara. I just got this today from yesterday at 5:58 p.m. I'm waiting to hear back on the exact location. Looks like palm trees over here, so I'm assuming somewhere in the south maybe. But right there tells the story. Person filming this with their camera, there was the sparks. They bolted inside. This is from a outdoor security camera, and the first video was a gentleman standing on the ground. Talk about a malfunction. What is going on with the grid? Maybe a substation, maybe a transformer, maybe a bunch of transformers here. I don't know, but something was throwing sparks in the sky from these power lines and power poles above their backyard. I believe this was less than 24 hours ago. Unbelievable. Video.
I don't have much more to add other than this is directly related to the plasma fires. So this is from a video I posted a couple weeks ago from the LA fires, but this phenomenon with the power lines being on fire is something that's been seen multiple times. There's at least 2 or 3 other videos out there that people have sent me links to from. Just to be clear, the LA fires were about 4 months ago, around January, right in the dead of winter, I might add. So these are not correlating current events with past events. I'm trying to very clearly describe the timeline here in order to not provide misinformation.
All right, so here on the right side, you can see a power line that's glowing as if it's energized or on fire. And then he's going to, I slowed this down a little bit, and then
Hi, so there is an anomaly that we did.
all right, so here on the right side, you can see a power line that's glowing as if it's energized or on fire.
Directly related to the plasma fires and the plasma apocalypse, so that's why I decided to throw it in my video library, the electrified atmosphere. And what you're seeing here is those sparks are coming from the middle of the line, the middle of the span between 2 poles. There are no splices there where it could be shorting between the connections. There's a loose connection that allows it to arc. There's no splices there. It's right in the middle of the line that it's throwing these sparks off. This is from a video that I made over 4 months ago Titled Surge of Ground Current Produced by Fluctuating Magnetic Field.
Right now, as you can see, 3 others burned earlier, and as I came down PCH from the north, I had to see about 24 in to cover this thing moved so fast. It came right out of the Palisades, and it moved some to the south towards Santa Monica, a place called Chautauqua Canyon right now, Rustic Canyon. That's burning, according to the TV, miles an hour, gusting at least. Earlier tonight, I know there were 30,000 had been evacuated. It's a very populated area. People were trying to evacuate, and the flames started coming down. They were forced to leave their cars. You probably heard about this. And policemen came up to them, and witnesses said, "Get out of your car and run if you want to live." And at this point in time, bulldozers had to come in and literally push those cars aside to make room for the fire trucks. And that was an area near Puerto Marino and again, parts of the Palisades. I'm going to send it back to you, but right now I can tell you we have fires in the Palisades, in Malibu, in Pasadena, Altadena, and Sylmar. And this one in Malibu, they hadn't, when I went to bed last night, it hadn't even moved into this area. So you have those high winds are expected, peak winds right now, basically until 5 o'clock this morning, but still we're expecting high winds probably until Thursday. And the way this thing is moving, there's just going to be more homes destroyed.
William,
Probably,
I mean,
Todd?
yeah, absolutely. 0% containment, and we're hearing 5 football fields.
You had embers that looked like a snowstorm, really, and they were just bouncing along PCH. As I came in today, I can't tell you how many down power lines and transformers and power poles were sticking right across PCH like this. So it's the strength of the wind, and of course, the longer it blows, the drier the vegetation. We're in technically our rainy season, our wet season, that should start basically November, December, January, February. And then it begins to tail off. And we've had marginal rain, honestly, over the last 2 months. It's been extremely dry, but this wind event is massive. I mean, it goes from, as many people know, LA is a basin, basically. We're surrounded by mountains, the San Bernardinos, the Santa Susana, the San Gabriels, the Santa Monicas, and those winds coming down, the high pressure out of Las Vegas, and they come down through those canyons, and they really pick up steam. It's just the breadth of this thing right now is got all of Southern California on notice. And of course, what that means is firefighters are going to be spread really, really thin. As I said, as I came down, there were fires burning and there was no firefighters anywhere. They're doing their best, obviously, but they're occupied on different structures, and they can't get ahead of this thing. In fact, last night around 8 o'clock, they had to ground the helicopters and even the fixed wing because the winds were so strong. Earlier on the Palisades fire, when it broke out, they had 2 Chinook helicopters, the twin rotors, and they stopped dropping because the wind.
Notice how that top part on the pole just went out and then started glowing again. Fire doesn't do that.
So one of the firefighters at a presser said
The point of driving and dropping.
Notice how... So some of the video clips that we watched earlier were from this video over a year ago titled "There's Only One News Story. All else is side effects, cover stories, and distractions. Hashtag plasma apocalypse." And a couple more things here we're going to show you from MB3 in the last 48 hours that are also electrical discharge events. The photo that he shows on the homepage of his website is 50 to 75 to 80 or more % of the time pictures of these colors that look like aurora borealis. These clouds that stratospheric cloud, Arctic stratospheric clouds with all these colors that were once limited to the Arctic Circle, just like the Northern Lights, and they are both for the same reason, because in the Arctic Circle there is less magnetic field to block out the solar plasma. These days you can see this everywhere, any time of day, just about any day. When there's clouds in the proximity of the sun, put on a pair of polarized sunglasses and you can see these colorful clouds in the proximity of the sun. This is all directly related to these plasma apocalypse electrical discharge events that we're going to look at a couple more of.
Tallahassee, Florida, and an object falling through the sky above southern Florida. But first, over here at the homepage of the website, today's feature photo was sent in by Greg Dempster out of Lake Tahoe. Get a load of those green clouds above Lake Tahoe. Super cool photo by Greg. Thanks for sharing.
As you can hear, he doesn't dwell on it. He doesn't try and exaggerate or inflate or hype it up or make it a sensational thing. He breezes over it real quick. For those that know what they're looking at, check this out. Now let's move on real quick. Same reason he says, oh, that's a transformer on fire. It looks like a big old plasma ball behind it, but let's just call it a transformer on fire. That way those who know what they're looking at can see what there is to see, know what time it is, keep up with the current events, and be engaged with the experience that's happening all around us. And those that don't will just say, hey, look, isn't that a cool picture? Move on. On that note, regarding the event, the one news story that there is, for which everything else is all cover stories and side effects and distractions from. You guys might have heard recently about this $21 trillion of missing money. It came about as a result of an interview that Tucker Carlson did with Catherine Austin Fitz. And they were talking about these underground bunkers. She said she suspects they got about 170 underground cities. That brings me to the music video Monday by Imagine Dragons. In this video I made over a year ago, we cover a few songs by Imagine Dragons. This one's on top of the world regarding the moon landing, and in this image I show you that over her shoulder is the Order of the Eastern Star. Over his shoulder over here is the square and compass on the wall. Above his head you can see, Above his head you can see the pyramid with the eye in it, and in the reflection of his glasses you see the checkerboard floor. That gives you a pretty good clue. Even though they're Mormons, Imagine Dragons are Mormons, apparently they're also Masons. Snow Guard is an anagram for dragons. There on the patch on his coat. I'll leave the link in the description so you can see all of the rest of the symbolism breakdown. Now let's get to Monday by Imagine Dragons. And here I'm going to try and cover some of the music video Monday by Imagine Dragons without getting a copyright strike. He wakes up in like a mansion and he's going to the kitchen to make some breakfast and he's partying it up the whole way. And he turns on the TV to see the Monday news. Monday is a reference to a brand new start. That's the lyric in the song Monday. So underrated and a brand new start, like a great reset. The beginning of a new cycle. That's what Monday is. The beginning of the next week. So here he's just in the kitchen making some breakfast. And across the news crawler on the bottom you see Ragged Insomnia. That is an anagram for Imagine Dragons. And then floods, fires, earthquakes, meteors, UFO attack, and war. But they're partying it up. Not in some doomsday underground bunker eating MREs. They're at a top-notch resort. Like the Fields of Elysium. And then something appears to hit the roof and shake the whole building, and they all look up like, what the heck was that? It's knocking dust and plaster down off the ceiling. The power flickers in and out for a minute. But then the power comes back on and it's back to party time. Party on, Wayne. Party on, Garth. They're barbecuing, having a good old time. He's bringing the goods. He's got some drinks. And then it cuts back to the TV. Breaking story. Earth is doomed. Some fire action. And, wait for it. See it? Is that an incoming meteor or a spiked protein that looks a lot like that little spiky ball we were shown for a couple years? It's a very odd-shaped meteor. I think it's a spiked protein. And after you see him playing cards and frisbee and golf and everything else, he hops in an elevator. Then you see him walking up this stairway through this hall up to the surface. Comes out of this cave with his gas mask on to see how things are going on the surface. Runs over here to grab the newspaper, see how things are going. Not too well, it looks like. Is this the end? Signs point to yes. Then he goes back down into his cave. Just in time before that incoming meteor hits. So after I made this video, one person commented in the comment section and someone else verified that this video was filmed in a location in Las Vegas that the public is now allowed to go into and check out, like you pay an admission fee in order to go check out the underground bunker that was built like in the 50s and used all throughout the 60s and 70s, and by the early 80s they had far better accommodations elsewhere, so they decommissioned this particular underground bunker and turned it into like a tourist attraction, and that's where they filmed this video. And I would say the reason that it's all the talk of the buzz of the internet now, talking about these underground bunkers in 170 different underground cities and 21 trillion in missing money, is conditioning so the idea is not so foreign to people when they have to discuss these things as a matter of current events. It doesn't blindside them. It starts acclimating them to the idea. Other people say, oh no, they knew that we had figured them out and we sniffed it out, and they're trying to spin it and say these underground bunkers are a good thing instead of where they take the kids to drink their blood and make the chrome and all the rest of the bullshit. They didn't have to bring that out into the public because the truthers had sniffed them out. They're injecting that into the psyche of people in order that it's like to inoculate them. Give them a small dose of the poison so they develop an immune system so when they get the full dose, it doesn't kill them. Let them know about these things. Start talking about these ideas so when it comes around, it's not such a shock to the system that they can't handle it. Also remember, MB3 was showing how many private jets are flying around scrambling, like an inordinate amount of private jets in the air, like we've never seen before. Also remember at the first of the C-19 operation, there was this thing just before it called the CEO Exodus, where hundreds, I think the number's up over a couple thousand CEOs that had their whole future ahead of them, like 30-year-old CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation resigns and then doesn't pop back up on the radar anywhere else in any other organization, like he retired. And there was thousands of these CEOs that just disappeared right off the map. They called it the CEO Exodus. But I would say much better than an underground bunker would be an overhead bunker. These are images from a video I produced over a year ago titled Solar Warden Space Fleet Elysium Sky Dome Atlantis, where I show you these images that I took by zooming in and running color contrasts on images that came from a Santilli telescope, homemade Santilli telescope. Images of what I call the Airborne aircraft carrier. Notice at the end of each one of these runways is one of those triangular craft, right? And then you got 3 of them parked up here in formation, and I showed you that each one of these triangular craft have 3 fins on the back side of them. This video was in vertical video format. I'll include the link in the description. I don't want to go over the whole thing here. Just kind of reminding those of you that have been around for a while and know what I'm referring to when I reference the Airborne aircraft carrier. That's far more likely a place you would rather go than underground, particularly considering geomagnetic induction electrifies the ground. Link will be in the description to Solar Warden Space Fleet Elysium Sky Dome Atlantis. This is what's in the sky above your head. I acquired those images by zooming in to this video produced by KC Kid, where he made his own homemade Santilli telescope with a beauty mirror with 4x magnification mirror and a magnifying glass dome on top of that. So you got like 8 or 10x. Zoomed into that, ran the color contrasts, and you can clearly see things that shouldn't be there. And all of those triangular craft with 3 fins on the back of them at the ends of runways, all of that, you see that? That's intelligently designed. There's more of those triangular craft right there. Maybe I'll put it in fast forward here if I can. It's not letting me fast forward. There's more of those triangular craft. On some of them, I zoom in and show you that each one of them has 3 fins off the backside. In one of the scenes, 6 of them, all at the ends of runways. All parked in formation. This is all above your head in the sky. Not from a NASA image, from a guy who hung that thing out his car door window. A magnifying glass dome and a magnifying beauty mirror combined together, and I zoomed in and ran a bunch of contrast, and this is what you get. All of those are parked at the ends of runways. Those kind of repetitions of pattern cannot happen as a result of pixelation or lens flares. That's in the sky above your head. And the idea that you would receive an offer to come with needs to be injected into your psyche before you can receive and accept such an offer. And that's why they might start talking ahead of time to get people used to these ideas about underground bunkers and extinction level events. And give them an information package that includes the movie Leave the World Behind, made by the Obamas, the music video Monday by Imagine Dragons, the news clip with Tucker Carlson, and so anyone that needs to be initiated with a quickness can be fast-tracked in the process. These are intelligently designed structures. Those look like blueprints of a building. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them in a row, and 4 of the 6 have a little triangular part, rectangular part above them, almost like a runway. And all of the 6, you can see the little fins on the back. That's intelligently designed structure. Those are triangular craft. And that's all above your head. Anti-gravitational technology that's being used on the UAP Dragons that we've seen by the thousands can be scaled up to support things that are the size of a floating fortress, a city in the sky, an airborne aircraft carrier. See the symmetry, that's what I'm pointing out with the little lines here, the repetitive patterns and the symmetry. When you zoom in on some of this stuff, it has highly detailed the repetitive symmetry on all of these little triangular craft. They have what I'm pointing out there on the right hand side with the black lines, the 3 raised ridges on all of them. That's intelligently designed structure. That's not lens flares. That's not pixels. That's in the sky above your head. Would you rather a ticket to an underground bunker or a ticket to an overhead bunker? Link will be in the description to Solar Warden Space Fleet Elysium Sky Dome Atlantis, where Mr. MB3 shows you these airborne aircraft carrier that are very specific length, like 892 feet long. Theoretically and hypothetically, there's 9 of them cruising around up there. And then he shows you what he believes is actually these things in the sky. Those 2 lights are these airborne aircraft carriers.
Turn the volume down. But anyway, they're driving down the highway. He's focused on this that's in the sky. It's not on the ground. It's not a tower. It's not an airplane. It's not a helicopter. There was some sort of a mysterious light that was just kind of hanging out off in the distance. And
To round it out, this is a video that I made over a year ago, titled Muse Message Mashup. There's only one story, and it's all about the event. And the reason that these music videos are such a perfect vehicle for conveyance of information is because no one even questions what they mean. Jay Dreamers does Truth in Movies. A lot of people do Truth in Movies breakdowns. But in a movie, the viewer, the audience, is watching a storyline, trying to keep up with the storyline, understanding the concepts that are being conveyed, yet they still can embed a secondary storyline within a movie where people are actually watching and paying attention to the storyline and the plot and what it means, which is what you have to do to even watch a movie. In music videos, no one even pays attention to a storyline or a plot or what it means. They blow it off as if it means nothing. It's just interesting pictures and pretty sounds and doesn't have any plot or narrative or storyline that's being conveyed. That's why music videos are a perfect vehicle for this type of information. So this music video came out 9 days ago. It's called Whatever by Kygo and Ava Max, and we'll talk more about Kygo, but it starts out with this scene with the telephone booth. Jay Dreamers and others have identified this phone booth symbolism as having something to do with time travel, like a vehicle that transports you from one realm to another or from one world to another, like teleportation. And this phone booth and the car that she's standing by, these are pretty much the only 2 props in the whole music video. And that telephone booth is a vehicle of sorts. So even if Jay and these other people have it wrong about maybe they've misinterpreted some of these symbols, I have come to the conclusion and am 100% convinced. It's like there's only one story and everyone's telling the same story or depicting the same story with their symbols. That story is the story of the plasma apocalypse. the reset. These days, the elite are getting ready to jump in their bunkers, and they only refer to this event as the event. And in this song, she talks about, there's a place in my heart when it all comes crashing down every time I hear your name out in public. Out in public? Yeah, like, shh, don't say the name of the event, just call it the event. Because if anyone knows, and she says, there's a place that I go every time that you're around, it's just me and the knots in my stomach. Every time what comes around? The plasma apocalypse. Where do you go? In my bunker with my knots in my stomach. Soon I'll be talking about and showing you the airborne aircraft carriers, which for me would be a much better place to be than underground. And she's got this necklace she's holding in her hand right there, and it's got a cross hanging from it, and you'll see 3 crosses on her neck a little later in the video. These are symbols referencing the greater story that she's telling. This is not just about a love affair between a man and a woman, though that is the most common way for this secondary storyline to be concealed within a love story. Vanessa VA understands this. She calls it retrocausal language. I call it Muse messages. But a love story between a man and a woman is often used as a cover story, if you will, to encapsulate this other storyline that's being told. The one story that everyone's telling. Here you can see the cross that she's holding on that necklace. There's a reason. It's not just a prop to give her something to hold in her hand, randomly grab something off the shelf with no meaning. That has meaning. The lyrics say, whatever, I'll be here and you stay there. And 2 years is not forever. What 2 years are they referring to? That's a very specific amount of time. It's when we separate and go our separate ways. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but that 2 years sounds maybe kind of like the reference to 6 to 8 years in the music by Smash Mouth called Walking on the Sun. So don't delay, act now. Supplies are running out. Allow if you're still alive. 6 to 8 years to arrive. And if you follow, there may be a tomorrow. But if the offer's shunned, you might as well be walking on the sun. 2 years, that ain't forever. I'll be here, you stay there, and I'm not gonna shed no tears. 6 years ago I would have, but part of my life process has led me to a point of detachment where I won't shed tears. I know people have had long enough. If the world burning up around them from the inside out is not enough to get them to change their ways, nothing ever will be. They are a lost cause. Now she switches dresses and there's 3 large crosses around her neck. Cross? You mean like Jesus died on the cross? You mean like the planet of the crossing? And then it shows this piece of glass floating in the air, the shattered glass symbolism, shattered chandelier, shattered windows, shattered mirrors, shattered light bulbs, all are referring to when it all comes crashing down, like she says in the lyrics, that highest, hardest glass ceiling, what Jay Dreamers refers to as the depressurization event, when the firmament busts open and giant chunks of ice come falling down. And then you see many of these pieces of glass or ice that look like something that might be hanging from a chandelier floating around her. And they do show reflection of pink clouds. Maybe that's the clouds that Mr. MB3 shows in almost every one of his videos these days, which used to be isolated to the Arctic Circle, just like the Northern Lights. But now that our magnetic field has dissipated to the point that it has, it allows the plasma through to create these colorful clouds that you can see any day of the week looking in the proximity of the sun with polarized sunglasses. Or maybe it's referencing the red sky after the spectrum shift, the light spectrum shift. And this is the next scene. Maybe it is referencing the light spectrum shift of the red sky. All of these pieces of glass that are floating around reassemble themselves at the very end of the video, and most people wouldn't notice it because it's not meant for most people to notice. And then you see these things coming out of the sky that look kind of like comets, asteroids. And then they show you an aerial vehicle that's unlike anything I've ever seen, with 6 propellers. Looks almost like, I don't know, that airplane they say is up on Mars. It has 6, 8, 10, 12, 15 propellers and then solar panels on the wings. But what this is indicating is maybe an aerial vehicle that most people don't get access to, like an airborne aircraft carrier that we'll cover in an upcoming video. The ACHR on the tail and whatever that symbol is on the tail is not meaningless. I don't know the meaning of it, but I can assure you it's not meaningless. So if anyone wants to take a shot at what that symbol on the tail is, let me know. I have no clue. Here you can see 2 trails where those comets or whatever they are come in. And then in the next... Come on, Russell, bad timing. In the next scene, you can see 3 of them hit the same spot. So here's all the pieces floating in the sky when the sky is falling, like Adele's song, When the Sky Falls. We'll cover that here in a minute. And here, right at the end, they reassemble themselves. You can kind of see them all coming together. Most people would not notice this part. It's the very last scene of the video, which means it's kind of important. And as it reassembles itself, you can see her reflection appear in like a solid glass mirror. So the glass reassembling itself, I hope the audio and video hasn't gotten out of sync yet, but the glass reassembling itself is very similar to that which is depicted in the 21 Pilots music video Hype, where the roof caves in. Here you can see there's an explosion that comes up out of the roof while they're up there playing on top of the roof. And this is the part where he falls in to the house. And then the roof reassembles itself. All the pieces that fell in then magically get sucked back up. The roof repairs itself, and they rearrange the furniture inside and carry on. This is where the pieces are magically floating back up to seal the holes in the roof. The shattered glass unshatters itself. And that's a depiction using a mirror that's hanging on the wall. And this is, it's all in the same sequence of scenes where everything is reassembling and re-repairing itself. Here's where the hole in the roof gets sealed. There's only one story, and everyone's telling the same story. To that, I will add Skyfall by Adele. Skyfall is where we start. You can listen. This is a music video that I came across just today by Kygo and Miguel. Almost everything by Kygo is with one of these other artists. He has a long line of people that want to make a music video with him. Here I'm going to cut to a different video I made titled The Most Beautiful Dance of Destruction Ever Depicted, Remind Me to Forget by Kygo and Miguel, where I think I probably captured it a little better instead of my hot take on the first day I'd ever seen that music video. And we'll talk about why it says Remind Me to Forget. I don't remember what I've included here, but let's check it out. I just want to go over a couple extra things I found in this music video titled Remind Me to Forget. I've covered this before, so I'll try not to do it too extensively and be brief and just add the couple other things that I noticed. But just like the house represents our world. In these movies that use this type of symbolism to tell this kind of story, a house represents our world. According to Jay Dreamers, and I think he's probably right, whether it's a cabin in the woods, a cabin, a house, a box, it represents our world. So this house that he's sitting in is our world. And the TV begins to flicker. I think I can get away with a second here and a second there. TV begins to flicker. And then the light bulb up top right begins to flicker, and then they pan up and show you a drip coming from the roof. That is Humpty Dumpty that sat on the wall and Humpty Dumpty that took a great fall. In the Jay Dreamer's cosmology, at the top dead center of the dome, the firmament, which he believes is made of ice, there's like a dimple, a belly button right at the top, and that belly button, that inverted dome at the top, breaks open, and large pieces of ice fall from the sky, and that's how the hole in the firmament breaks open. This drop of water that falls from his ceiling represents that breaking of the dome, of the firmament, that kicks off the plasma apocalypse. And the electrical disturbances in the house are also simultaneously happening, which happens in our world, which is happening right now. And all of the rest of the video is all about glass shattering and the electrical surges that's happening all over the house. Every light bulb begins to flicker and burst. The windows get blasted in on him. The sparks you're seeing right there are from a bursting light bulb. The window blows in on him. And then they quickly move the camera. They kind of pan more quickly as they move over the corner of that desk, and you can see that green glass dome on the desk. Those are the two features I wanted to draw your attention to that I didn't really highlight very closely in my previous coverage of this music video. That green glass dome on the desk is there intentionally. It's not just throw something in there to fill in the scenery. It's very, very intentional. And then he gets up and he stands next to the desk staring directly down at that glass dome. The fan that's spinning, this fan is spinning a little bit. And then as you can see, the light bulb shatters. That spinning fan is the worldwide tempest. The light bulb shattering is the electrical surges that happen during that pole reversal. Fluctuation in the magnetic field creates a surge of ground current. Right now, everyone's wondering if we got a Carrington event going down. Here he is staring directly at that green glass dome, which is showcasing the symbolic reference of this whole music video, which is when the dome shatters. Throughout the rest of the video, it's all about shattering glass, and that's that highest, hardest glass ceiling, the firmament, that shatters. And everything from the chandelier, the crystals on the chandelier, to the light bulbs, to the mirrors, it's all about shattering glass all throughout this whole music video. Shattering light bulbs, which both represents the shattering glass and the electrical surge and how they coincide simultaneously. And everything in the house gets destroyed during this woman that's dancing around the house, doing her dance of destruction, Shiva, dancing in the plaza. Another image of the glass getting blown in. That's the window getting blown into the house. Maybe by the worldwide tempest, maybe that's a reference to the actual dome shattering. It's all symbolic, and you have to know what you're looking at to be able to read what it is you're seeing. It's like a storyboard. And she's dancing around the house, tearing shit up. There's so many light bulbs shattering throughout this, and glass shattering, whether it's the chandelier falling from the ceiling or the glass windows being blown in or mirrors on the ceiling or light bulbs. It's clearly telling a story, and to those who can kind of see what the story is, it's screaming it very loud. It's not a subtle symbolism. All this glass falling onto the floor, that's the ice from the dome, from the firmament. When that very first scene, Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall and he took a great fall, and that water drop, representing that chunk of ice from the top center of the firmament, falls and hits. Again, remember that everything going on in this quote-unquote house represents our world. It's an amazing music video. Link is in the description. And one of the lyrics says, "Your kiss like broken glass on my skin," so it's definitely a theme featured throughout the music video. Just like in the Ava Max music video, where all that shattered glass heals itself and seals together and creates a new image, like the veil is no longer rent and torn and shattered, but it seals up. Just like in the music video Hype by 21 Pilots, where the hole in the roof seals itself and the shattered glass mirror on the wall unshatters. It has the same exact imagery in this music video. Most of the time, like all of the times except one, you see her dance is actually shattering the glass and making the mirrors come down. And then there's one time where you see a mirror going back up onto the wall. I'll try and get them in here without getting a copyright strike. Now we'll go back to my original hot take on this music video the first day that I ever actually saw it. From the Muse Message mashup. There's only one story and it's all about the event. This is a music video that I came across today by Kygo and Miguel. Almost everything by Kygo is with one of these other artists. He has a long line of people that want to make a music video with him. Artists that are very good in their own right. There is something about Kygo that every artist wants to get in on. He is the man telling the story. Anyway, this is Kygo and Miguel, Remind Me to Forget. And at the very beginning of the video, it shows that there is an electrical component that has to do with this apocalypse because the TV starts flickering and going out, the light bulbs all start flickering and going out, and then they start exploding. Every piece of glass in the room explodes. Mirrors, windows, chandeliers, light bulbs. But it shows you at the very beginning that there's an electrical surge that happens that kicks it off. And then the camera pans upward from that first scene that we just saw. They're moving the camera upward to go look at the ceiling and the hole that's happening. And it shows you the plaster on the ceiling and a drop of water coming through. It's the same story being told over and over. Big ups to Jay for letting us in on the script. And right here in this video, it says, your kisses are just like broken glass on my skin. And the whole video is about broken glass. It's amazingly beautiful. The whole song and this music video. I'll just link it in the description. And it shows this droplet that came down from that hole in the roof while it's saying broken glass. So this isn't necessarily water as much as it is ice, kind of like glass. The symbolism of the broken glass is all over here. That's what the whole music video is about. And the house that they're in that's being destroyed is representative of our world. And it shows you there's electrical sparks that come from the upper left corner of the screen. And then that was another light bulb that just exploded in the upper right, and every piece of glass in here shatters. And there's an electrical component being depicted here as well. It's the plasma apocalypse. There's only one story and everyone's telling it. That's one of the shattered light bulbs that just fell. There's another shattered light bulb that just exploded. There's the window that he was sitting in front of, while as something came through the front window, blowing all that glass inward. Another exploding light bulb. And he's wearing a cross too. Again, that's not without meaning, willfully and intentionally placed within the storyline being depicted here. Chandelier just dropped. And it's showing this ballet dancer dancing around in the house as it's all destroyed. And one of these mirrors, instead of coming down and shattering and coming off the wall, for just a split second you can see it going back up to the wall. Just the same story being depicted as the reassembling roof of our world that goes back together after the apocalypse. 2 years ain't that long. I've probably showed you enough examples already that you can see that there's a story being depicted here that's using this shattering glass as a representation of the story that's being told, but most people, they don't get it, they don't question it, it doesn't mean anything, it's just music, pretty noises, and pretty pictures. Right here at 2 minutes 35 seconds into the video, you can see one of the mirrors is not falling away from the wall, but moving back up to the wall. Just like in the music video Hype by 21 Pilots, just like in the other one by Kygo that we covered with Ava Max, where the chandelier, the glass, reassembles itself. But all I can use is screenshots or I get a copyright strike, so you'll have to watch the music video yourself. And the whole house is being destroyed, not just the glass, not just the lights. The whole house is exploding from every direction, but there's definitely a huge emphasis on the glass. It's an incredible music video. I'm beating a dead horse here. I just barely came across this video today. So I'll link it in the description. The title of this song is Remind Me to Forget. And yeah, maybe this dancer is like depicting Kali, the goddess of destruction, doing her dance in the plaza. But there's something, Jay Dreamers talks about that there is a forgetfulness. That's why he calls it ancient oblivion, because after these apocalypses, everyone seems to forget. Whether it's because, for the same reason, you can put a magnet up to a floppy disk or a computer and wipe the memory on the hard drive or the disk. Maybe it's something electromagnetic, or there's something more natural, something we're more familiar with. I saw a family after a fire say that it's like the only thing we remember is everything that happened since the fire, like all of our memories before the fire are kind of wiped out, and all that any of us really remember is since the fire happened. And this happens with any traumatic experience. You disassociate with all of your life experience prior to that traumatic experience. It's part of our survival mechanism, a preservation, self-preservation mechanism of the mind, where everything that happened prior to the cataclysm doesn't matter right now. All you have to worry about and remember and think about is what happened since the cataclysm forward. So maybe that's part of why there is a amnesia that happens after this apocalypse. It's simply part of our self-preservation mechanism, and there's probably something else to it. But the song, the chorus says, "You left your mark, reminding me to forget." And the average person, oh, it's just about a love song between two lovers, and it went bad, and he's just talking about his experience with his girlfriend. People like Kygo do remember, haven't forgotten, have withheld or maintained their knowledge of this story, the one story that everyone's telling. One of my first kygo experiences was this music video called "Stole the Show," where it's curtains, it's time to go, we out. I'll include it in the description as well. If you can hear it, if you can see it, if you can hear the storyline being told, you can. If you can't, you can't. So I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I'm just going to include this one in the description. Here's a clue from 2.5 minutes into the 5.5-minute music video, where he shows you, it's all about this spaceman on the right in the spacesuit. That's throughout the whole video. In that fish tank is the lunar lander right in the center, and the two space astronauts to the side of it, to the right and to the left, and a picture of the Earth behind it. Some of you know NASA practices in water, in giant pools, and you've seen air bubbles floating up from their spacesuits, and they say, oh, well, that was just one of our practice runs. We were just practicing in a pool. That's where we practice. So, we'll be able to bounce around on the moon when we really go and do that shit.